Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today with another video. If you're wondering what's on my face, I did do a get ready with me using the Suva Beauty Saffron collection. So that's all the color on my face. It's very pretty. I'll link it down below if you want to see it. It is what it is. But today I thought I will do a video about stuff that's in this particular box. Now this box is a box of products that disappointed me. So this is a disappointing products video. Now I was going to make this a bigger thing, but I was like, I should film something and this is staring at me and I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to declutter these or give them away. Some of these products I can easily give to family and friends. Other things is icky. But let's go through the products and tell you why they didn't meet my expectations or why I didn't like them. You could like these. That is perfectly fine. Makeup is all about personal preference, what works for you, your skin tone, your skin type, your body chemistry, just your personal preference. It's fine. It's fine to like these and me not to like these. Okay, I'm going to start with an oldie but a goodie, and I think I've mentioned this before on my channel, and I don't like saying I don't like this because I like the formula. I just can't handle the scent. It is by Physicians Formula and this is the Butter Bronzer. I really like the formula of this. I think for a drugstore bronzer, this is a very nice matte bronzer. I do think some of the shades run a little bit orange. This particular shade is just light, so I think it's like the original one. And I think it works really well on me. I just can't handle the scent. It's got a really strong, makes me want to gag. Coconut scent, really strong. And due to the fact that when I was a lot younger, maybe about 10 or 11, and I had to go on antibiotics that was like a liquid, it tasted like the smell of this. And it got to the stage when I was using those antibiotics that I would almost vomit when I was using it. So I became quite adverse to this really strong artificial coconut scent. I like coconut. I can drink coconut juice. I can eat coconut. Just this artificial scent makes me want to throw up. So this is very strong. And I actually have tried to use it again where I was like, okay, look, it's come into my life again. I will try to use it and see if the temporary, like as you apply it, if I can get past that and then it's fine during the day, I'll try to use it. But this actually lingers for a long time and it makes me physically sick. So I'm passing this along to someone. It is a nice bronzer. Otherwise, the formula is nice. Just please release them with a different scent or no scent at all, please. Another drugstore product that's sort of, if I want to say it in the terms of Hayley, shit products that shitted me off, is that what she calls it? That's her like disappointing products, is this eyeshadow primer from Wet n Wild. I don't think that this is a bad product. It just is too finicky for me. So this is the Photofocus eyeshadow primer. I tried to use this for a couple of weeks and I was like, okay, I'm going to use it up. It's not a bad drugstore primer. I should start using more drugstore primers in my videos. I'm going to do it. But what I struggled with this was when you put it on, sure, okay, the eyeshadow's grip to it. Eyeshadows last. It's great. But I find that this is one of the few eyeshadow bases that I've used that actually doesn't blend well with other makeup. So for example, what I would normally do, since this is a squeezy tube, is I would squeeze them on my finger or onto a brush and I would just sort of pat it on my eye, blend it in. And I found that what this did was it would start lifting up the makeup that I've got around here. So if I, take it around here, it would lift up my foundation, it would lift up my concealer, make it look really chunky. And it would also, the edges would be hard to blend. It doesn't blend into the skin really well. So when you would blend an eyeshadow over it, you could see where the primer sat because it would grip to where the primer is and not to the rest of it. Whereas I find with a lot of other, every other primer I've used, I put some on the lid, I blend it out up into the crease and not quite to the brow bone, but I sort of diffuse it out there. And you can't tell where the skin and the primer meets, but you can with this. So even though the primer itself works, it just doesn't blend well. And I find that it more often than not, it ruins my makeup, not makes it better. So I'm going to get rid of this. Another drugstore product that I just tried last week and I really don't like and I'm going to throw it out because no one wants this in their life. It is by NYX and it is the Eyebrow Marker in Medium brown. Medium? No, just medium. Yeah, just medium, not medium brown. Now this I thought was okay. You can mimic hairs. It's like a felt tip liner. Cool. But it is the reddest product. I think when you first put it on, it sort of looks cool toned and then it develops into a red color. I was doing my brows with this and it looked like I had like henna brows, like red henna brows. It just is not a good color. I also noticed that after applying it just sort of at the front of my brow, the portion at the front of the tip was clear. It's like it runs out of product really quickly and then you have to store it upside down for a long time. I just don't have time for this. It actually looks not too bad on my hand, but my brows looked orange, like reddy orange, and I have no time for orange brows. I'm sorry. If you're a redhead, you might like this. For me, I don't like this. Let's get on to some higher end stuff. Bobbi Brown. I think Bobbi Brown's releases lately have been pretty good, but this for me didn't work. This is the Instant Full Cover Concealer. I know that Hailey is project panning this. Good luck to you, lady. For me, I struggle with this. Firstly, I feel like it is, Hailey did mention this as well, and I think this off the bat, it's the wrong dispensing mechanism for this type of concealer. I almost feel like they took their pot concealers and just shoved it in a tube and then expect you to somehow, with this sort of wand and this stopper, get in there and get the product that is like a solid product out. Because when you do get product out, there's nothing on the wand. Yeah, it's almost like a dry wand where the product just doesn't, it's not emollient enough to actually come out properly. This needed to be either in a pot or in a squeezy tube. And I just find that every time I use this, it's a struggle to get it out. I also feel like just in general, as a concealer, I have tried the sort of pan pot concealers from Bobbi Brown that were popular years and years and years ago. I find that this feels like the same formula. It's quite greasy, so it's quite oily. So that was a sort of a popular product amongst people who didn't have, I just remember back in the day, like maybe 5-6 years ago, people like Fleur de Force, who were at the time in their like early 20s, would use the really high coverage Bobbi Brown pot concealer. So I just remember those influencers being like, oh, it's amazing, you put it on and it doesn't, like, it looks beautiful and smooth. And it looks beautiful and smooth because they were like in their early 20s at the time. If you are in your 30s or your late 20s or even older, this sort of greasy, really oily type concealer that doesn't set ends up like going in your creases. It sort of settles in your creases. It doesn't look good. This doesn't set. It sort of stays sort of a little bit greasy and oily. You need to set it a lot. If you've got dry skin and no like lines, you might like this, but it's also designed to be instant full coverage, and I really don't think it is. It just doesn't really build on itself too well, and I just don't like it. So for me, I'm actually going to probably chuck that one out because I don't like using it. I just don't like using it. Another concealer that I don't really get, but I don't hate it enough to throw it out. I'm going to just keep it and use it, but I just don't really get it. This is by IT Cosmetics, and it's the Bye Breakout Full Coverage Treatment Concealer. So this is designed, if you recognize this type of bottle, it's just a pink, like, it's just the packaging. So it's just like a ombre sort of fade on the glass bottle, pink to like the color of the product, so pink to clear. And it's supposed to represent those drying lotions. So if you have breakouts, which I get, and you use the drying lotions that you put like the Q-tip sort of cotton tip in, and then you put the pink dots on your face, it's supposed to sort of look like that. And the point of this is to cover spots, but also to dry them out. So it is a treatment, like a breakout treatment, which I think is really cool. I just don't think it is, I've heard a lot of claims about this, and I just don't think it meets the claims. So it does have a little like doe foot applicator. It's not a bad, it's quite runny. This is in the shade Light, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is in the shade Light. It's not super full coverage, but it's not too bad. So it's just like a thin, it does set, so you can see that's already setting. Just a thin, very light concealer. But it's supposed to be like a spot treatment, and they say that it only works as a spot treatment if you put it under your foundation. So if you have done your foundation, you see a breakout sort of coming through, like, do I have a mirror? Yes. So if I look and I go, okay, well, I've got like discoloration here, or let's just say this is a breakout, this is actually not going to work because I've got it over the foundation. So I'm like, okay, this is not doing anything except for concealing, which is fine. So it's a fine concealer, but using it like that doesn't actually fix the problem. You have to put it directly onto the skin and then your foundation over the top. What also makes me think that this doesn't work necessarily as its intended purpose is that they also say you can use this as a foundation. So this is a 10.5 ml bottle. I find that if you do a full face of foundation with reasonable coverage, you use about half a ml every time you do your makeup. So if you have a 30 ml bottle of foundation, it should last you at least 2 months, let's say. This will last you 21 days, which is not enough in my opinion. Also, if it's got drying properties in it, you shouldn't use it all over your face. So I just sort of feel like if it's safe to use all over your face, it probably isn't effective at treating the breakouts, because otherwise you'll be drying out your whole face, which I think is a bad move. I don't think when you get those spot treatments, they're like, put all over your face, just because. So I feel like this is claiming a lot of things, and by claiming a lot of things, it's sort of, I don't think it could do any of, like, it can't do all of those. So what can it do? It's just a concealer, in my opinion. It's just a concealer, a runny concealer. So is it a bad concealer? I don't think so. I think, it's a very thin, runny concealer with medium coverage, but I don't think it fixes breakouts. Another product that I don't think I'm going to be throwing out, but I just didn't think it does much, is the Benefit Hello Happy foundations. These are the soft blur foundations, and I've got the shades 2 and 4. I sort of have to mix the two because number 3 wasn't really my shade. It was funny colored, and I find the colors are a little bit off with this. There's also only, I think, 10 shades or 12 shades, so chances are you will have to mix a couple. But I did a review and a wear test on this, and I think, I'm sure I concluded in that I feel like these are designed for people with perfect skin. And I feel like if you've got perfect skin, you probably don't need these. So these are a sheer to medium coverage foundation with SPF 15, and it's soft blurring foundation. Now, I feel like this sits on my skin like a little bit patchy. It doesn't look super flattering. It gives a very light coverage. So if you want a very, very light coverage, you might not mind these. I also feel like it does sort of have that sort of matte, semi-matte blurring sort of effect, but it doesn't set. So it does transfer, it does move. It's just very, very strange. I don't feel like this, anyone that needs coverage and needs mattifying properties and blurring, this is not enough for you. So if you really like, okay, I've got greasy skin and I want my makeup to last, this won't do it. If you touch your face a lot and you don't like transferring makeup, this won't do it. If you've got rosacea or breakouts or anything, this won't cover it. So if you've got perfect skin, this will be for you. But if you've got perfect skin, you probably don't need these. And in Australia, these are pretty pricey. And I just feel like they're trying to sell people something that they don't need. And that's what I don't like about these. Not many people will be like, that's my holy grail, because it doesn't do too much, if that makes sense. Another product that is very pricey and that I don't like, we actually destroyed this on the Makeup Breakup, so I've got the destroyed version. And it's a bummer because I really respect the person behind this brand. So this is the Raine Morris Invisible Mattifier Invisible Face Powder. Now, Raine Morris is a great Australian makeup artist. She is brilliant. She's so great at her masterclasses. Her books are great. Her brushes are great. Everything she does is fantastic. And I understand that this is a makeup artist product, but they are selling it at Mecca. Because it's sold at Mecca, I feel like it's got to be consumer friendly. I understand that it's designed to be a makeup artist product, But then if that's the case, sell it at makeup artist stores, because if you start selling it at consumer stores, people expect this to be something they can wear every day. And I'm sure some people can. From my experience, I can't make it work. This is designed to be an invisible powder. Now, it's interesting because it actually is invisible. So if you've got deep skin, it won't look ashy on you, etc., etc. It won't change the color of what's going on. But this is essentially a cake of silicone, and I think in Australia it's like $80, which is ridiculous. So this, if you've got oils on your face, this will blot them and just diffuse the look of the oils. It won't remove the oils because you're just covering them with silicone. This is also designed to be like a setting powder. It's also designed to be a primer. I've tried to use this as a primer, and when I put foundation over the top, it makes my foundation look really patchy. So I don't think this works as a primer. I don't think this sets makeup. It lifts my makeup. So I feel like if you've got no makeup on and you've got a bit of oil, this is great for like hiding the oil. But that's about it. This is a photo shoot product, not a consumer product. And I feel like it's marketed in the wrong place because it makes it seem like I don't know, it's marketed for one as a powder, which it's not. It's a silicone cake. And I just find that it's disappointing and very expensive. If you're a makeup artist, you might love it, but I have heard you can get other brands that do it a lot cheaper, because essentially it's a bunch of silicone, different forms of silicone in a pan. All right, another thing, this is the second last thing. These are the Ardell magnetic lashes, easy to apply. Bullshit. These are some of the hardest things to apply in my whole entire life. And I like lashes, and these are very difficult. We will have a video coming up on Beauty News where we're trying to apply these. You can see the struggle. The struggle is real. But I just can't get behind these. So these are essentially, instead of putting a strip of glue on your lash and then sticking it on, these are designed that they've got a top lash and then a lash that a lash that sits on top of your lashes and then one that sits underneath your lashes, and they both have magnets and they stick together. Cool in principle. The application, I think in that video I literally threw these across the room. They were so frustrating. Like, they are just so frustrating. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you can't use some lash glues, find one that you can, because these were difficult. I have actually heard that they are bringing out magnetic liner though, so you can paint on liner and then have the lashes stick onto the liner. I'm curious about that because that could work. These I don't like. Another thing that we tested on Beauty News, and they'll be up sometime. It's sort of like we're saving it as filler content for December. So we're trying to do like Vlogmas. Yeah, that thing. We're sort of like uploading 5 times a week until Christmas. So we're sort of leaving these sort of reviews for that, but they're coming. Then the last thing I'm talking about, and one that, like I said, is going to be tested on Beauty News, is the Quick Flick. If you're not familiar with this, it is a liner pen. It's like a stamping liner pen. You get 2 of them, 1 for each eye. So this is in black. So one end you have the flick, so you stamp it on, and then you also have the liner on the other side where you draw it and connect it. I was really surprised that because these flicks have a curve, I don't know if you can see, it's not just a triangle, it's got a curve, that they had to do a right and a left. I have seen other brands do it where they just have like one shape that you can just flip over and do it on both, which I think is probably better. This is a bit confusing having to like have a left and a right. But I didn't like this. I found that this didn't work for multiple reasons. The liner itself was okay. I found that for me, I've got quite heavy eyes. And even when I lift my eyes aren't flat. No one's eyes are really flat. You've got a curve that you're sort of like trying to stamp onto, and it will stamp onto some sections and then leave patches. So I found that for one was difficult. But secondly, because the pen is so cumbersome, you actually don't know exactly where you're stamping. So you might put it on one eye and go, okay, that looks all right. But then when you have to go back and try to match up the angles to do the second eye, it's impossible. I actually created like completely different looking wings using these. And I just feel like it is better to try. Like, I'm sure if you use these over and over again, you will get better at using them. But I feel like if you just use a pen liner over and over again, you will get better at drawing your own wings. So I didn't like these, but they're not for me. They didn't suit my eye shape, and just the struggle to get them even was almost infuriating. Almost infuriating. All right, guys, those are the products that over the past couple of months I did not like, I did not get. They disappointed me. They didn't live up to my expectations. And like I said at the start, I know a lot of people probably like some of these, and that is perfectly fine, but they didn't work for me, and I don't like them. The end. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what products recently haven't worked for you, because it happens. Shit happens. Things aren't designed for everyone, which is perfectly fine. But I'd love to know what hasn't worked for you recently. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.